Right now, today, money is leaving your life without you making a single conscious decision to spend it. Not from a bad investment, not from an impulse purchase you will regret tomorrow, from something far quieter and far more persistent than either of those. The most expensive financial leaks are not the ones that feel like mistakes. They are the ones that feel like nothing at all, like Tuesday, like routine, like life simply moving at its normal pace. The longer they go unexamined, the more they cost. Not dramatically, quietly, in a compounding decade-long way that most people only recognize far too late. By the end of this video, you are going to see your daily financial habits in a completely different light. Most people have a clear picture of what losing money looks like. A bad investment, a purchase they immediately regret, a financial decision that obviously goes wrong. Those things happen, but they are rarely where most of the money actually disappears. The real leaks are different. They are quiet, ordinary, and so woven into daily life that they never get examined. They hide inside decisions that feel completely normal and sometimes even responsible. That is exactly what makes them so persistently expensive. And the first one is somewhere most people look every single morning without ever questioning it. Most people keep their savings in a standard bank account. The balance holds steady. Nothing visibly disappears. It feels completely safe. But beneath that stable number, something is happening. Inflation slowly reduces what that money can actually buy, year after year, regardless of whether the balance changes on screen. If a standard account earned 0.5% annually, while inflation runs around 3%, the real purchasing power of that money shrinks by roughly 2.5% every year. On $10,000, that is approximately $250 lost in 12 months, not from the balance itself, but from what that balance can purchase. The reason most people never address this is status quo bias. Leaving things unchanged requires nothing. Changing requires a decision. And because the number on screen looks stable, nothing feels broken. High-yield savings accounts at online banks currently pay significantly more, often 20 times a standard account rate. Moving money there takes about 15 minutes and costs nothing. But this leak only affects money already sitting still. The next one targets money in motion, the kind you spend dozens of times each week without a second thought, and the annual total is higher than most people would ever guess. Every out-of-network ATM fee, every delivery surcharge, every expedited shipping charge that felt too minor to decline. Individually, these are invisible. $3 here, $6 there, small charges that disappear into the noise of daily life. But someone making 2 or 3 of these payments per week can easily lose over $600 a year on fees that delivered no lasting value, just a brief reduction in minor inconvenience. The psychology behind this is temporal discounting. In the moment, convenience feels worth more than the fee. That feeling fades within minutes. The charge does not. A simple habit closes this leak. Before accepting any fee, pause 3 seconds and ask whether you would pay it if it appeared clearly on a monthly bill. That brief gap often produces a completely different decision. What makes the next leak more interesting is that it does not feel like spending at all. It actually feels like the smart, responsible financial move. A product appears at 30% off. You do not need it immediately, but eventually you probably will. Buying now feels logical, even financially clever, except the money was never allocated for that item. The discount did not create savings. It created an unplanned expense dressed up as financial wisdom. This pattern repeats across grocery stores, warehouse clubs, clothing sales, and online flash deals. Items get purchased because the framing makes them feel like gains rather than costs. Many expire, go unused, or get replaced before they are ever finished. The psychology is framing. Paying $70 for something originally priced at $100 genuinely feels like winning $30. Even when the $70 was never meant to leave your account. One consistent rule closes this leak entirely. Something is only a sale for you if it was already on your list before you saw the price. What comes next is less about active choices and more about what is running quietly in the background right now, without you selecting anything at all. Look at your last bank or credit card statement and count every recurring charge. Most people find between 8 and 15. Streaming platforms, apps, storage plans, membership programs, software tools. Some are used constantly. Others have not been opened in months. A few were free trials that converted automatically to paid plans without any clear decision ever being made. The average household loses several $100s each year to subscriptions delivering no ongoing value. Not from carelessness, but because canceling requires deliberate effort, and not canceling requires absolutely nothing. That asymmetry is the leak. Inaction is always the path of least resistance. A 15-minute audit every 3 months, treated like reviewing a utility bill, consistently uncovers charges most people had completely forgotten existed. The next leak is different from everything covered so far. It does not appear on any statement. And because of that, most people have no idea how much it has been quietly taking from them. Carrying a credit card balance is one of the most common financial habits in the country, and quietly, one of the most expensive. Interest rates on credit cards frequently run between 20 and 28% annually. On a $3,000 balance, that means between $600 and $840 in charges every single year, simply for not clearing the balance last month. The minimum payment option makes this easy to sustain indefinitely. Paying the minimum feels responsible, but it is not the same as not losing money. The interest compounds regardless of whether the minimum arrives on time. For anyone carrying a revolving balance, eliminating it delivers a guaranteed financial return that exceeds most low-risk alternatives available. Most people know this in theory. Calculating the actual annual interest paid, rather than just noting the monthly minimum due, creates a motivation that theory alone rarely produces. What comes next is the leak most people would never think to examine. It has no monthly charge attached to it, and yet the numbers behind it are genuinely difficult to ignore. Most people keep more money in a checking account than their actual monthly expenses require. Bills get covered automatically. Nothing runs short. The buffer feels organized and responsible. But checking accounts earn almost nothing. Money sitting beyond 2 to 4 weeks of real expenses is working for the bank, not for the person it belongs to. On $5,000 sitting idle for 5 years, the difference between earning 0.1% and 4.5% is over $1,000. Across a decade of idle balances, that number becomes genuinely significant. One transfer, taking less than 10 minutes, moves that money somewhere it earns more while remaining accessible within a few business days. But everything covered so far, every fee, every subscription, every idle dollar, is still smaller than what comes next. Because the most expensive financial mistake most people make involves no spending whatsoever. This one surprises people every time. The single most expensive financial habit most people carry is not a subscription, a fee, or any kind of visible spending. It is postponing financial decisions they already know they should make, not opening the investment account they have been thinking about for 2 years, not scheduling the automatic transfer they keep meaning to set up, not moving money from somewhere earning nothing to somewhere earning something. Nothing dramatic happens when someone delays. No charge appears. No notification fires. And that invisibility is precisely what makes it so costly. It compounds silently, month after month, with nothing to signal that anything is being lost. Consider this. Someone who waits 3 years to invest $10,000 at a historical average return of around 7%. Does not simply miss 3 years of growth. That delay compounds across the entire investment horizon. Over 20 years, starting 3 years later, can mean forfeiting somewhere between $5,000 and $8,000 in total growth from doing nothing but but waiting. The psychology driving this is present bias. Starting today feels like a commitment. Not starting feels completely neutral. But financially, not starting is a decision with a real and compounding cost attached to it every single month. None of these leaks require a complex strategy to address. They require one thing: visibility. Once a month, spend 20 minutes reviewing every transaction from the past 30 days. Not to judge anything, just to see it honestly and completely for the first time. From that review, ask 3 questions. What am I paying for that currently provides no real value? What fees am I accepting that I could easily avoid? What money is sitting somewhere that could be quietly working harder? Then take one action, not 10. 1. Cancel something unused. Move an idle balance. Make a transfer to a higher yield account. Open the account you have been putting off. That single consistent habit, applied monthly, closes leaks that have been running quietly for years. Building wealth is not only about earning more. For most people, a meaningful part of it is simply stopping money from disappearing through channels they never stop to examine. None of the leaks covered here are dramatic. None feel significant on any given day. That is exactly what allows them to compound below the surface, until one day someone does the math and finally sees what has been happening all along. So take 20 minutes this week and look through your own accounts. Find just one leak and close it. You don't have to fix everything at once. Just start with one. You cannot close a leak you have never thought to look for. But now you know where to look. If this video helped you see your money differently, subscribe for more simple money lessons like this. See you in the next one.